Model guns in Japan profiled by Lucifer 7922. This video introduces a Japanese toy gun. The toy guns I introduce are called model guns in Japan. It is called a cap gun by the world standard, but I call it a model gun. This model gun was manufactured and sold by the Japanese toy gun manufacturer MGC, Model Guns Corporation in 1978. However, MGC is already out of business. In 2020, there is no other way to obtain it than auction, except for transactions between acquaintances. I have won several bids in the past, but the winning bids range from $150 to $200. Since the condition confirmation is only the seller's self-report and the image, there are some failures. This time, I made a successful bid for the junk evaluation individual, so I tried to restore it and try it. The report on this model gun is not complete in this video. Therefore, this chapter is the first chapter. Since it is a junk evaluation product, each part is in a bad state. The front sight is missing on one side. The sling is frayed, but it's because the metal fittings are removed. But luckily the engine department works fine. The biggest problem with this model gun is the durability of the bolt. This had been regarded as a problem since its release, but the manufacturer did not deal with it. It was 30 years ago, so the makers weren't denounced. But now it's definitely a recall target. We will start repairing the bolts immediately, but let's first understand the current situation. As you can see in the image, there is a crack on the tip of the bolt. This is due to the impact of the shooting. In this survey, it was found that this phenomenon occurs after 10 to 30 trial shots. This is a level that should not be sold as a product, even if it was 30 years ago. Please forgive me if you own this model gun. Sorry. This is a very embarrassing thing for me who was engaged in Japanese manufacturing. Return to the description of the repair work. Due to the crack generated at the tip, a crack also occurs at the middle part of the bolt. Also, cracks occur because the wall thickness on one side of the extractor bearing is too thin. As a result, the bearing on the opposite side will also crack. It's a chain of nightmares. We will explain how to repair bolts using a conceptual diagram. We plan to fix the cracks on the bolts with machine screws. The size of the screw is M3. The 3mm screw is machined to the width of 4mm, but the standard axis cannot be drawn. I work only with the feel of my fingertips. Clean the bolts before working. This is done to temporarily fix the crack with an instant adhesive. Temporary fixing is intended to facilitate drilling and screw processing. This is a very important process because we cannot fix the bolt in a vise and process it. Wipe off the adhesive that sticks out and draw the processing direction. Indicates the tool used. 1.0 mm drill bit, 2.0 mm drill bit, 2.4 mm drill bit, M3 tap. Punch lightly. The success or failure of this process is entirely left to the work of the 1.0 mm drill bit. Contradictory, but requires cautious and bold judgment. Up to this point, the work is completed successfully. Next, we will repair the bearing of the extractor. Make a frame using clips. and make a pilot hole so that this frame can be embedded. This work is also difficult to make into a drawing. Please rely on your fingertips. The work up to here is good. The package says Katatorikun in Japanese. In English, would you say Mr. Mold Maker? It is a resin that makes a simple mold by transferring a solid. Cut the required amount, soak it in 90 degrees Celsius hot water, soften it and press it against the product. When it gets cold, remove it and cut off the excess. Please see the image because it cannot be said in words. Firmly press the softened resin against the product. Please push it so that it protrudes sufficiently. When it is sufficiently cooled, remove it from the product. Cut off the space you want to mold and unnecessary parts. Try putting on and taking off several times until you get the desired shape. If you make a mistake, soak in hot water again and try again. Can be used any number of times. Let's attach the frame made in the previous step and fit the mold we just made. It has a very good atmosphere. Now that we have a frame and mold using clips, we can finally shape the bearing. UV curable resin called Bondic is used for modeling. Having met this product gave me the opportunity to start this restoration. The latest set is as follows. File for correction. UV light. UV curable resin storage cartridge. The molding thickness of one cycle is 1 mm to 1.5 mm, and the ultraviolet irradiation time is 4 seconds or more. Thick molding is possible by repeating this process. In the actual work, it was a process of molding a little, correcting with tools, and molding again. This was made possible by the short curing time of 4 seconds. This completes the repair of the bolt. Let's check the movement manually. There are 8 cartridges that are open type. Manual movement is perfect. I'd like to test fire immediately, but I can't use cap powder. Then, lightly press the cap powder from the back side to release the powder. Initially, I will use 1 powder. I didn't have enough explosive power, so I used 2 gunpowder. It is in a very bad condition. Clean the cartridge. Then disassemble the main body and check. Fire again with 2 gunpowder. the situation doesn't change at all, or even feels worse. There was something I wanted to clarify here. Is the explosive power sufficient? I used 3 gunpowder for clarity. It was the best shooting ever. Probably the explosive power was not enough with 2 gunpowder. The bolt broke apart, but my heart isn't broken. The next stage is waiting.